You know, the famous romantic poet John Keats, he used his incredible series of poems, his odes, to wrestle with one of the biggest, most universal conflicts we all face. So today, we're going to dive into that journey, which goes from this place of deep, deep anxiety, all the way to a kind of profound peace, and it's all captured in his poetry.
And here's the big question at the heart of it all, right? Is it even possible to love something beautiful, to really experience joy, when you know for a fact that it's not going to last? For Keats, this wasn't just some abstract philosophical puzzle. This was a deeply personal, painful struggle that actually fueled some of the greatest poems ever written.
So, in his earlier odes, you can totally feel Keats trying to find an escape hatch. In Ode to a Nightingale, he fantasizes about just dissolving into the bird's song, leaving all of human suffering behind. Then in Ode on a Grecian Urn, he's almost jealous of these figures frozen on a vase, stuck in a perfect moment forever. I mean, they're gorgeous poems, but they're really all about running away from reality, not facing it head-on.
And then everything changes. This is the big turning point. With his Ode on Melancholy, Keats finally stops running. Instead of trying to dodge sadness, he turns around, looks it right in the eye, and what he finds there, well, it changes his entire perspective.
And what's so wild here is how his advice is the exact opposite of what you'd expect. He basically says don't try to numb your pain, that's a huge mistake. He argues that the only way to really truly experience joy is to be completely open to sorrow. It's like he's saying they're not opposites at all. They're basically two sides of the same intense human coin.
And boom, with these lines, Keats just lays out this mind-bending paradox. He realizes that melancholy isn't some invader that comes from the outside. No, it's actually living inside beauty itself, right there at the very heart of joy. The fact that beautiful things have to die is exactly what makes our experience of them so incredibly powerful and meaningful.
So you see this huge shift, right? Not just in the poetry, but in the poet himself. He's not this passive dreamer anymore, wishing he could just fly away from his problems. Now he's an active participant in his own life, someone who's aware and capable of holding both happiness and sadness at the same time. That's a massive leap in, emotional maturity.
Okay, so Keats has accepted that you can't escape pain in the real world. So what's the next logical step? Well, if you can't control the world outside of you, you can always work on the world inside you.
And this is such a classic romantic idea, this belief in the raw power of your own imagination. For Keats, your mind itself can become this sacred space, a kind of sanctuary where the things that truly matter, like love and beauty, can be safe and sound, no matter what chaos is happening out in the world.
This line, it's basically a promise he's making to himself. Keats is declaring his faith, really. He's saying, okay, I'm going to be a priest to the soul itself, and I'll build a temple for it. Not out of stone, but out of my own thoughts and feelings. He's decided that his spiritual home is going to be built inside his own head.
So where does all this lead? Well, it leads to his final ode, To Autumn, which many people think is his most perfect poem. And you can just feel it when you read it. The fight is over. That frantic search for answers has finally given way to this incredible sense of peace.
You know what's so amazing about this poem? It's what's not there. There's no angsty speaker, no wrestling with big ideas. Keats has become this calm, almost meditative observer. He's not fighting the cycle of life and death anymore. He's just watching it and seeing the beauty in the whole thing. It's like the famous critic Harold Bloom said, in this poem, death has a natural sweetness. Think about that. In the earlier poems, death was terrifying. But here, the end of the cycle isn't some scary monster. It's just a natural, even beautiful part of the whole process.
So when you step back and look at all these poems together, you realize they're not just individual greatest hits. They're actually a map of a whole philosophical journey. They're like a blueprint for how to find peace in a world that is always, always changing.
And you can see that whole evolution right here. He starts out desperately trying to escape and freeze time. From there, he moves on to learning how to live with pain, then finding strength inside himself, and finally, he lands in this place of complete acceptance. I mean, what a transformation, right?
And this all brings him to a place he famously called negative capability. It's a tricky idea, but basically, it's the wisdom to be okay with not having all the answers. It's about being strong enough to just sit with life's big contradictions, like joy and sorrow, or life and death, without feeling like you have to solve them or reason them away.
So really, that's the big takeaway. Keats' ultimate answer to that first question, how do we love something we know we're going to lose? is this. You stop trying to solve the problem. You just embrace it. You accept that joy and loss are tangled up together forever, and you find the deep, profound beauty in that collision.
So, I'll leave you with this thought. Keats went on this incredible journey through his poetry over 200 years ago and found a kind of peace. His work shows us that peace isn't about getting rid of conflict, but about learning how to hold it. So the real question is, in our own lives, where can we find a little of that peace too?